Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining ClicData's presentation for data visualization, dashboard examples, and best practices. My name is Rob Wood, and I'm here with Anna Walter. Anna is out of our office in France, and she's one of our specialists, and she's going to be walking us through today how to create beautiful dashboards using best practices and also give you some ideas and hopefully some inspirations. A few words about ClicData. We were the world's first 100% cloud-based BI solution. While other products are trying to catch up and become cloud, everything cloud, we've already been there. We're founded in 2009, and like I said, we have offices in France, the US, and Canada. We have key partners throughout the world, including Latin America, Australia, and Asia. Currently, we're managing over 1 million KPIs, 100,000 data sets, and hundreds of dashboards are published every hour using our tool. According to G2 Crowd, 94% of those using our product would recommend us. ClicData is basically broken into 4 steps. This is our tenets of BI. Connect to any data at any source. Clone that data into your own personal data warehouse where you have the tools to cleanse and blend that data, manipulate that data however you see fit, join it, merge it, etc. And then run it through our business intelligence and data visualization engine. And mostly important, share with your colleagues and your customers. There's no sense in going through this whole process if you don't have the tools to share them. So one of the things we'll talk about today on the webinar that Anna will cover is being able to do just that, and the importance of understanding your audience when sharing those dashboards and how to effectively do so. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Anna.
Hi, Rob. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here today with you. I'm sorry for my voice, which is a bit broken today. I hope everyone can hear me well. So I'm going to present you quickly today's agenda. We're going to talk about first how to design a good dashboard and why. So a few key points we're going to address, and then we're going to switch over to look at some live examples on ClicData. And we will focus on different advanced features that will enable your dashboards to be very successful. And at the end, I'm also going to show you a few fun dashboards, because dashboards can also be fun, you'll see. Okay, so let's dive into the first section, how to design a good dashboard. So when you design a new dashboard, it's supposed to be a tool that's going to be used. Otherwise, you wouldn't care to put all that work into this. So this new tool actually comes with a main challenge. You need your audience to be engaged around that tool. Otherwise, it's useless and your work would not be efficient. So in order to get engagement, so here are the few tips I can share today with you. First of all, just think of your audience and the goals you want to achieve with a dashboard. So there are some basic questions to ask yourself when you start the project. So for example, what questions are you trying to answer with the dashboard, with the project? Who is going to use the dashboard, and are these users experienced with the data and the KPI you're going to present? Because if they're not, you want to maybe address that. Also, another question is, what is it actually they want to achieve with the project? So do you want awareness around the business health, for example, or do you want people to make better decisions based on the data, or do you want them to go after missed opportunities, for example? So these are just a few possibilities. So you really need to make clear that what you want to achieve with your dashboard first before starting to draw anything, because that's the way you're going to have a very successful project in the end, if you are clear on your first goals. So the next aspect is about being crystal clear and actually building something simple that looks simple, even though you've put a lot of work in there. So the main idea here is, again, to have engagement with your dashboards. So you don't want to build a dashboard that would look like this one here in the cartoon, because no one is really going to use every KPI and look at it and understand it correctly. You want people to focus on the very important things, on the main important things. So the golden rule is actually to use something around 10 KPIs by dashboard. And by the way, if you're interested in the subject, I suggest that you go to read Stefan Few's blog. So I've linked his last blog here about that topic. So he's explaining. He's actually a data visualization specialist. If you don't know him, and he says that the human brain can only process like 4 information chunks at the same time. So there's no way anyone would really be able to understand and to get in all the information of this dashboard here that we see in the cartoon, because the human brain is just not conceived for that. So too many indicators would actually kill the purpose of the dashboards, which is, again, to get a clear understanding of your business health. So we're going to look at a few examples here. These are not live. These are dashboards that we've built at ClicData. As you can see, this one is pretty clean, so and clear, I would say. At the top, you have some main KPIs looking at totals over time, and which are clearly labeled as well, so you can understand what they're meaning. And in the second part, you can see that we have KPIs trending over time, and also a repetition by category or by region. So they all stand out very clearly and are well legended and labeled so that you understand what you're looking at. And also some color coding can help with the understanding. Also, I think what's a good indicator here is the time when the data was last refreshed, because that actually also engages your audience with the dashboard, because it shows that the data is fresh and that they can rely on it. Another example is this one. So we're looking at a survey dashboard here. We're measuring customer satisfaction based on a survey. At the top, we have some general metrics. The first one are more quantitative, where we're looking at number of participants or completed responses. And on those gauges, you can actually see qualitative data. And the gauge is actually a very good visualization tool to show how you trend against the goal. At the bottom, we can drill down into different questions of the survey and see how they perform. And it's very easy to just switch from one to another. It's just a drop-down list here. Okay, the next topic is about explaining. So no one would expect you to understand this sort of graph unless you're Superman. So always remember to step into your user's shoes and to make it the most clear what you're actually showing on the dashboard. So you can, for example, use legends, or you can use scales and charts, labels, and all sort of tools to make it clear what the data represents and how to read it. If I look, for example, at this dashboard here, this is a dashboard showing data around the Valentine's Day, how much people spend on what they spend, the gifts, and how the spend has grown over time. So what's interesting about this one is actually this, for example, this widget here, which is full text. So it's really just talking from human to human, and everyone can understand what we're looking at here. We're looking at a number showing that 198 million roses are produced each year. So everyone can understand it, and there is no room for misinterpretation. Again, at the bottom, we have another phrase in here as well. Another thing that I like about this dashboard is the use of the scale here, which is using dollars in terms of format. And this makes it very clear, again, what we're looking at. We're looking at spend. So it makes completely sense to have dollars here, or at least a currency. Switching over to another example. This one is a dashboard measuring hotel performance. So we can see here different graphs and KPIs laid out. What I really like about this one is the definitions here at the bottom, because the hotel industry uses some very general metrics to measure performances, such as, for example, the first one here, ADR, that's average daily rate. And here is an explanation of how this is calculated. So even though people who are going to look at this dashboard might know how this is built, how the average daily rate is built, it still makes sense to show the calculation and to make it very clear to everyone what we're looking at. By the way, the ADR is shown here, as you can see. The next thing I wanted to talk about is colors. So you need to be aware that a lot of people do not see the whole spectrum of colors. So you need to be aware of that, because it's really important that you don't use only colors to make your data stand out. For example, if you use red, it might not be interpreted as red for everyone. And also we can run into another issue with colors. It's that colors are interpreted very differently from culture to culture. So for example, speaking of red again, in the Western world, it actually stands for danger, or in our case, for bad performance or for lower performance. Whereas in China, it actually stands for good luck, so something very positive. So just be aware that when you use colors, not everyone might understand it the way you do it. So how to fix it and how to work with that. So you have many tools actually to combine with colors. You can, for example, use icons like we did here on this example. We can see hours going up and down. So even if the person who is looking at the dashboard might not be differentiating those colors very well, they would still see the hour going down or up, and understanding how to read the performance metrics here. Again, shapes and sizes can help with understanding and making data stand out. If you make something bigger, obviously it would mean that it's more important than others. And also the use of visualizations like gauges or bullet charts, which actually show progression against a target, are very easy to read for everyone, even though you wouldn't see maybe all the colors here or differentiate them well. So the last topic I wanted to talk about, and not the least, is the formats. So whenever you design a dashboard, be aware of who is going to use it and where, because as you can see here very clearly, you don't have the same space on a mobile phone than on a desktop, right? So you don't want people to scroll down forever to see the KPIs on a mobile. So you need to be aware of designing a dashboard for a mobile device if you know that people are going to see it on mobile. And if you're designing for multiple formats, I would actually suggest that you go for a mobile first approach and design for the smaller display size first, because it's then always easier to extend to a bigger one. Okay, so much for that, those tips. In summary, we really want to make useful dashboards, right? So again, we want users to be engaged with them. So how to do that? We're going to see a few examples now, live examples that show how to build some nice features that enhance the user experience and which make it very pleasant actually to drill down through the data, and which will also give your users the hand on owning the data themselves. So the first example we're going to look at is again a survey dashboard, and I'm going to show you how to build a very simple dashboard for some very complex data. So I'm just going to switch over to my browser. Here we're looking at survey data. So here at the top we have a button group selection tool, which allows us to select any metric that we want to show on that axis here. And on the left, we have a secondary dimensions group, which will allow to drill down into the data. So for example, if I switch to nationality here, you can see that the graph here has changed. And if I change here, I can see how for example, the religion splits out against nationality. So this is a very smooth way to give the user the ability to drill down into the data without having a master dashboard showing every possible crossing. This one was actually built with just one widget. So I call this feature the switch dimension. The thing is that in the widget, we completely dynamically refer to those buttons here, rather than referring to a fixed column in the data set. So if you're interested in that feature, you can let us know, and we'll share the documentation for that. It's actually already present in our FAQ, so feel free to look it up. Okay, next example. So the web-like navigation is a feature that allows you to build multiple dashboards and connect them together. So if you're not able to stick to those 10 KPIs we talked about earlier, that's actually a good way to go. So what we're looking at here is a sales dashboard. So the very first dashboard here is a general approach, an overview of the business. We're selling cars. So we have sales overview over regions, over time, over car models. If you want to switch to another view, we can actually just click on the button here, and please have a look at the URL here. It's going to change because we're actually going to another dashboard. So here in this dashboard, we have the same navigation bar. So it really keeps the user in the same environment, in the same look and feel of the dashboard. And we also have a secondary navigation bar here. Actually, it's really just virtual, right? Because it's actually just links between pages, and there is no shared item between dashboards. It's just the same design. On this dashboard, we can also see how we can add more features for users to drill down into the data and to explore it. For example, we can change the dates over here and have all the data change dynamically. We can change the date range here. We can also zoom in just by selecting or using those little bars here at the bottom and change the date range. Again, I can change to another page and we still keep in the same environment with other types of exploring, like drill downs, etc. So this will help you build a suite of dashboards without having to go down on the KPI numbers. Having this example in mind, it's actually interesting to see that we have just very few KPIs on each, but still with the navigation system, you can still allow users to go deep into the data. The next topic is white labeling. So you can actually embed the dashboards completely in your website and make a completely seamless experience for your users. If they connect to your platform and you want to show them some dashboards, you can do that in a very smooth way. So we're going to look at an example here now on ClicData. I'm going to switch over again. So what we can see here is a URL which is completely ClicData agnostic. So we have ClicData in the title, but because it's one of our demo sites. This is a dashboards project and a full suite of dashboards that are looking at healthcare analysis and that are used for hospitals. So from that menu here at the top, we can actually drill down into the dashboards. So you can see the URL here hasn't changed, but still my dashboard and my view here in the frame has changed. So we're looking at provider analytics, and we have various metrics showing how the hospital does on that selected period here, November 2019. And if I want to drill down into the data, I can just select, for example, this category here. And now we have a button, this blue button here appearing, which is called Drill Through. And by selecting that specific category, I can now drill through to the data for this category. So we're now in a new dashboard, which is the patient access model and which corresponds to that category we selected before. So here we can drill down again into the data. We have some tables. We have some drill down options here if you want to see just a specific division, for example. And we can also export data from that bottom into Excel. We always have a lot of users who like to export to Excel to drill down even further into their data. So it's fine to leave them that option as well. If I now want to go back, I just click on that summary link and I go back to that very first dashboard we've seen, the executive dashboard, where I can actually drill down into another category, maybe the financial one. So we now have that button appearing again, the drill through, and it's going to be actually pre-filtered through a parameter that is sent from that click here on that financial sector. So if I click now on drill through, I'm going to go to another dashboard, and you can see it's completely different from the patient access that we had before. And from here, I can, for example, select on one of those categories, and you can see that we now have a new visual here on the right that appears based on that click I did to just analyze the primary care sector performances. So I've shown you a few ways to drill down into data. We've seen the click and the selections, the drill down selections, the maps. We've seen the click on the charts, for example. You can also drill down by focusing on a specific graph, for example, and focusing on a specific area. So there are many options actually for you to build very interactive dashboards, and that will help you create interactions and engagement for most of all with your data. So that's the main thing I wanted to show you today with these examples. It's all about user engagement. If you make the experience nice and pleasant, then you will get that engagement with your users, and the dashboards are going to be used. So the last part of that presentation is actually about fun dashboards. So in ClicData, you can build very serious dashboards about data, about your business health, etc., etc. But you can also build some fun dashboards. So we have a few examples here I wanted to show you. So this one, for example, is interesting because it's looking at the MLB, so it's the Major League of Baseball, sorry, in the US, and it's looking at the results of each team in the different regions. And what's interesting about this one is that this data is actually live. So we're connecting to a open source API to get the data and to build dashboards. So that's actually something you can build for your team as well, and have some metrics about some more fun topics than the business itself. And to the very last example I wanted to show you here is this tic-tac-toe that we've built, and which also shows the range of things you can do with ClicData. So we're just going to play tic-tac-toe, you know, that pretty famous game, I assume. So now it's red to play, and then it's again, you see, blue to play. I'm trying to win here. Okay, cool. So now I've won. So you can see that you can build very advanced and very interactive dashboards actually with ClicData. That's a very good example, I think. And we now would actually also like to hear from you what your good dashboards are, what your successful dashboards are, and why they are successful. We always like to learn also from you. And so don't hesitate to share your good dashboards with us. We're really enjoying seeing how ClicData is used. It's the end for me now. We're going to open questions up to the audience. So I'm going to give the mic back to Rob.
Thanks, Anna. That was great. I really did enjoy this. Regarding Anna's last slide that she talked about sharing your dashboards, we'd love to see those. In fact, if you're proud of them and you'd like for us to share them with everyone, we're more than happy to share your dashboards on social media. Tell everybody how great you're using the product with. So I'm going to go ahead and ask for some questions to see if we have any out there. While I'm waiting for some to come in, during our time, we had someone ask, can all dashboards be sent via a link? And I believe they're referring to ClicData's live link. The answer to that is yes. And there's many ways you can publish dashboards and share those. Not only can you do a live link, but you can also schedule publishing from a PDF or an image or even a PowerPoint slide. Another question, I believe, Anna, you can answer this for us, is can I combine data from multiple sources on a single KPI?
Yes, you can. So each visualization relies on a data set. So the dashboard is completely agnostic of any data set. So it means that for each visual, you can use different data sets. So for example, you can mix up data from different marketing sources like Facebook ads and AdWords and Google Analytics into one dashboard. That's totally doable, yes.
Perfect. Let's see. We have another question. Is it possible to achieve multiple actions via buttons?
So that's a question for me, I guess.
Yes, ma'am.
So on one button, you will have only one action, but you can, but there are multiple actions you can take. So if you want, for example, to open a new link, that's possible. You can also open a new dashboard within ClicData, but that would be a separate button. What you can also do is, for example, on a chart, on a table, you can actually have two actions on click or on double click.
Perfect. All right, we do have some questions that are specific to account usage and how they can get better performance out of that. We will be reaching out to you directly to make sure that you're taken care of. I do not see any additional questions, but if there's any more, you can certainly reach out to us at any time. You can reach us at sales@clicdata.com. You can have support@clicdata.com. And you can also reach us via our social media. As a reminder, this will be sent out via a link to the recorded webinar. We appreciate everybody joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much.